Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. This video we are making is the result of a recent comment that was put up on one of our other videos. And to quote directly from that, waiting for your video on the Evergrande financial collapse and its ripple effect on the Thai real estate market and other Thai economies. Lots of Chinese losing their nest eggs when Chinese banks start to go under. And this sort of begs the question, will the Evergrande debacle have an impact down here in Thailand? Let me be clear, I'm not really a financial analyst. I'm definitely not a real estate financial analyst or in an international context, an analyst of that type. Now, that stated, I will say, and this might be viewed as something of a cop-out, yeah, I think it's going to have an indirect impact, most assuredly, on the Thai economy. Exactly what that means, look, the Thai economy to this point, although the past year and a half haven't been any tourists of any kind, really. Well, there have been some, but very small numbers, especially from China. But Thailand enjoyed a great boon from the increasing growth of the Chinese middle class, especially basically up until a year and a half ago, the decade prior to that. As the Chinese middle class exponentially grew, Thailand started seeing a lot of tourists from China, and they really brought in a lot of money. And I know that's very hard to believe for a number of foreigners, especially of Western descent, that watch this channel. But yeah, I've seen the data on this stuff, especially from hotel associations and things. Chinese tourists brought in a lot of money, and they did not undertake the same entertainment activities as Western tourists. By and large, there was some overlap, but they didn't do the same thing. So I think a lot of Western expats and Western tourists, they just didn't really fully understand the ramifications of the numbers that were coming in. So yeah, one would presume, if and when Thailand gets fundamentally reopened for tourism, one would presume a hit to the Chinese middle class would have ramifications in the tourism sector from that perspective. Now, exactly whether or not, the Evergrande sort of network, if you will, or octopus and all of its tentacles, had any reach into Thailand, I don't know. And the thing is the increasing complexity of the overall financial markets, especially in an international context. One thing that doesn't ostensibly seem to correlate or to have anything to do with another thing might in fact, have very much to do with it. Because, for example, if money needs to be if assets need to be liquidated to pay off something in one market, they may be liquidated in another market. For example, Thailand, perhaps an asset owned by somebody, in the Evergrande, or who was affected by the Evergrande situation, maybe they liquidate their holding in Thailand, if that's possible. Now, that said, Thailand has serious and significant, substantial restrictions on foreign nationals owning property in Thailand. So I don't think there's any direct correlation where Evergrande owned anything particularly to speak of, although I don't know that. They could. But I doubt that there's any kind of direct impact directly from Evergrande in the Thai market. But again, it remains to be seen. We'll certainly keep folks updated on this channel as the situation evolves.